Good morning, everyone. So we're here as the Congressional Dad Caucus to announce a package of 6 bills as part of our Babies Over Billionaires agenda, an agenda that puts working families first and sends a clear message to Trump and Republicans. If you claim to be pro-family, prove it. And that starts with eliminating Trump's tariffs on baby products. In the United States of America, parents should be able to afford the basics for their babies and for their families. When Trump slapped a minimum 10% on millions of products, the cost of everyday items skyrocketed. And who pays for that? It's not the billionaires. It's the families who, in the end, will pay for those tariffs. Trump called his tariffs a win for America, but for most of us, it was just another bill we couldn't afford. As a dad, I know that children are expensive, as most Americans do. And one of the things we know as they grow, they need more shoes, they need more clothes, they need more diapers. They keep the expenses only add on. But we've known that the tariffs that Trump has imposed is really hurting the American family. And what's going on is that these prices are rising, even though the companies say that they're not increasing prices. You see that Amazon said they weren't raising prices. Over 1,200 of their products have increased over the period of the last several months. Walmart prices are also increasing. And here's the thing. It's kind of like the boil the frog theory, right? You heard that saying, boil the frog? So the American family is the frog, because as the temperature of price increases elevates, the American people can't really tell that price is increasing until it's too late. And that's what we kind of see that is happening. So these bills are meant to provide tax relief, remove the taxes and the tariffs on baby products, everything from clothing to formula to cribs and strollers, all of that is expensive. And we know that is occurring. At the same time, all the economic news, no matter what kind of deal Trump says he's struck with a foreign country, the American families are feeling it. The consumers are feeling it. Right now, this is one indicator that's not always people don't pay attention to, but defaults on auto loans are increasing. So what does that mean? That means that people are having less money in their pockets because they have to pay more for food and the basics in order, and then there's having less and less left at the end of the month, and they're not making their car payments. That's a bad indicator across the economy. So we want to provide the relief that American people need. I'm going to keep pushing this issue. I would love to make a deal with Donald Trump, eliminate all these tariffs on baby products, and we'll stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Right? Let's get to brass tacks. Do you want a deal? Let's cut a deal. But anything short of that, we are going to push this package of bills. With that, I'm going to introduce Congressmember Tran, who will be speaking about one of the bills he is authoring.
Good morning. I want to thank Representative Gomez for bringing us here today. I joined the Dad's Caucus for the same reason I came to Congress. I have 3 young children, a 9, a 7, and a 2-year-old. And I want to do everything I can to make sure that my kids and every kid can grow up in a better world. This has been a scary time for working families. President Trump's tariffs, his policy, has thrown our economy into chaos, and costs for basic necessities are already spiking. Having a baby is already way too expensive for so many parents. Between the costs of medical care, a crib, diapers, clothes, car seats, and of course, childcare, there's often no room in the budget if prices suddenly go up. We already saw how hard families were hit during the baby formula shortage in 2022. New parents struggled to make ends meet while they worried if they were going to be able to find their baby or feed their baby the next day. If the cost of baby formula spikes, thousands of families Families may be forced to choose between feeding their baby or paying the electric bill. That's not okay with me. That's not okay with us. And that shouldn't be okay with my Republican colleagues. I am introducing legislation to exempt essential products like formula, high chairs, and baby bottles from these reckless tariffs because working families can't afford any more uncertainty. This is not a partisan issue. No parent should ever have to wonder if they are able to afford their kids' next meal. I'm proud to stand here today with my fellow dads in Congress to make life more affordable for new parents. Thank you so much, and now I'd like to pass the mic to my good friend, Rep. Figures.
Good morning. I am thankful to be here with the members of the Dad's Caucus and thankful for the focus on this issue because this is an issue that touches real families, that touches real people, that touches real parents every single day. I am a proud father of 3 children with a 4th on the way. We know what it costs to be parents. We know what it costs to buy the basic necessities to be able to take care of a child. That is why I am introducing legislation that is focused on removing the tariffs as it relates to sleep products for children, for babies and infants. This is cribs, this is mattresses, this is bassinets. These are those items that you cannot do without. We know how unsafe it is for a child to sleep in a non-approved structure, and that is why parents have to have them. This is not optional. These are not optional necessities. These are things that people actually need. And to suddenly increase the cost of these by 20 or 30% or more is simply unacceptable. I represent a district where the individual median income is just north of $31,000. It is one of the poorest congressional districts in this country. They cannot afford to simply up and spend more money on basic necessities because Donald Trump wants to go on an ego trip. We cannot afford it. It is not necessary. And we have to stand up for these families. We have to stand up for these parents. And that's what we at the Dad's Caucus are committed to doing. Thank you very much.
Now we're introducing Representative Subramani. Did I say that right? No.
Subramaniam.
Okay, I forgot that.
I'm Congressman Suhas Subramaniam. And yeah, we're also introducing legislation to remove tariffs from strollers and from car seats. Strollers and car seats are expensive, and you want the best ones, or at least ones that'll work, because you want to take your kids safely and around your neighborhood. And these tariffs are a broken promise by this administration. They campaigned last year on lowering costs for the American people and for working families, and some folks who are angry now bought that line, and now they're seeing that this administration not only is doing nothing to lower costs, but they're actually increasing costs through these tariffs. And these tariffs are not being used to protect American industry like they say they are. They're being used as a foreign policy tool for the president's ego, and it's not working. It's not working for the American people. I talk to families all the time who are seeing prices already increase on everything. I think someone else is doing a bill on diapers. Diapers are expensive. I'm so glad my kids are potty trained now. But what's happening now is families like ours are suffering when it comes to our bills at home, and we need to do more. These bills that we're introducing represent a policy change, one that will help working families. So I hope the president is listening, and I hope we can actually pass these bills with bipartisan support. Thank you.
Thank you. And other members who are introducing bills, mine is the Baby Clothing Tax Relief Act. Representative Schneider, who's also on Ways and Means with me, is going to do the Baby Play Tax Relief Act. And Representative Horsford, also on Ways and Means, which is important because these are all tax bills, is the Baby Hygiene Tax Relief Act. So with that, I'm going to introduce Representative Ruiz, who is our Dr. Dad of the bunch.
Thank you so much, Chair Gomez. It's wonderful to be here. I want to thank all the members who introduced legislation that will bring tax relief to working families, parents, grandparents, people who take care of young children. My kids are with their grandmother, my mother-in-law. I miss them very much. They've been there for about 2 weeks now. I'm going to see them on Thursday. Every day I FaceTime with them. They're the most precious things in my life, and it's the best title and the best thing in my life is to be a dad. And I remember when my girls, who are twins, and when you have twins, you start to understand other parents who have twins, and you realize how much less sleep you have and how much more work you have. And Gil has twins as well, Representative Cisneros, and so we understand each other also of how expensive it can be. How expensive it is to pay for those diapers and to pay for the formula and to pay for the clothing and to pay for the double strollers that wear out quickly and to pay for all the other materials that you need for your children. And we know that just recently, Republicans passed a bill that would increase costs for people making less than $50,000. They took away Medicaid for millions of individuals, making healthcare costs go up. They're intentionally not renewing the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which is going to raise premiums for individuals by $2,000. And they took away about over $300 billion worth of food support for working families. And so not only are they taking away in order to give to billionaires and millionaires their billions and millions of tax breaks, but they're imposing through Trump's tariffs new taxes on these same working families. So the big picture here is that those making less than $100,000, working families with kids, are paying more for their products, are having their health care and their food taken away, those that are struggling, in order to give billionaires and millionaires more tax breaks. So these dads up here are fighting hard to reverse that, to give families the tax breaks that they deserve so that we can put working families over the billionaires and the millionaires. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dad. Now we'd like to introduce the other father of twins, Representative Gil Cisneros. Gil.
Thank you, Jimmy. I really do want to thank our leader of the Dad's Caucus, Jimmy Gomez, and all those that have put forth legislation, and all the dads that are here today and part of this caucus. I am the father of 11-year-old twin boys, committed to helping other dads and families across this country to provide for their children, whether it's paid leave, making child care more affordable, expanding the child tax credit. We need to give families the tools they need so that our kids can have the best possible future. But instead of helping families feed their kids, Republicans are more concerned with lining their billionaire buddy pockets. They killed food assistance programs for millions of Americans. They supported Trump's tariffs on essential baby products. And as a soon-to-be uncle again, my sister is actually expecting her first child in December. My family has been looking into the financial harm that these tariffs are going to have on new parents. More than 90% of baby and child care products are produced in Asia, the majority coming from China, where the White House has set a 55% tariff. Strollers, car seats, cribs, and high chairs or more. We're going to see an average price increase of 30%. You know, these aren't luxury items. These are essential safety products that parents need for their kids. You know, as a father, we know our children's safety is a top priority. But some families, they're going to have to make terrible choices on what products they're going to have and what they can afford. And it shouldn't be that way. The cost of living is going to skyrocket because the president doesn't understand basic trade policy and economics. Trump's trade policies are financially killing our families, which is why I'm glad the Dad Caucus is supporting this legislation, and I'm happy to be right there with them. You know, we need to support and put our babies first. And I'm not talking about the big crybaby who's there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But thank you all for being here, and with that, I yield back.
Next, we have Congressman Dave Min.
Thank you, Congressman Gomez. Well, Why can't you hear a pterodactyl going to the bathroom? Because the P is silent. Sorry. Dad joke, necessary for being a dad. At some point, you get to a certain age and situation, and all your jokes are now dad jokes. But what is happening right now is not a joke. Very serious matter. As has been described, the effects of tariffs, the reduction and elimination of key programs like Medicaid, like food assistance programs, they're making it harder and harder for parents, particularly working parents, to get ahead. And we all want the best for our kids. My kids are now 14, 12, and 9. I want them to have the best possible future. But Donald Trump, who came into office having promised to lower costs, to help working families, to create more jobs, is enacting a series of policies that are doing the exact opposite of that. Since he imposed tariffs, the total cost so far of the 5 most common baby items have increased by 24%. The average family with infants now pays an extra $400, and new parents overall are paying an estimated $875 million because of Trump's tariffs. Now, Republicans and Donald Trump have rightly noted that we have a problem with the declining birth rate. But their answer to that is to try to force women and girls to have babies they don't want by getting rid of contraception, by eliminating access to abortion and criminalizing it. This is the wrong approach. I want my daughter to be able to choose when and how she starts a family. But that decision is a lot easier if costs are down, if the economy is good, and these tariffs are having the contrary effect. Not only are they increasing costs right now, we know that they're going to have a devastating impact on jobs here. Donald Trump wants to bring manufacturing to the United States, and yet these policies we know are going to cost manufacturers. They're going to cause them to leave this country. One story I have is a manufacturer in my district. He testified recently at a hearing we did in my district, and he pointed out that all of his inputs come from abroad. They manufacture a little bit at a time, and then they send it off to another country to get improved, and it's common in manufacturing today. It's how the supply chain works. He is going to have to shut down a lot of his manufacturing, eliminating dozens of good-paying jobs in Orange County. You hear this story ad nauseum throughout the country right now. What Trump is doing is counterproductive. It hurts our families, and I want my kids to have the best future. This is the wrong way to do that. So I thank my colleagues for bringing this common sense legislation forward, and these tariffs just need to stop.
Thank you. Johnny?
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to thank Chair Gomez and my colleagues in the Dad's Caucus for their work here, especially those who are putting in legislation who are choosing babies and working families over billionaires, even as this president and our Republican colleagues are doing just the opposite, choosing billionaires over babies. I joined this caucus because I want to help advocate for these types of policies for my number one constituent, my daughter, Daria. In some ways, it feels like just 9 days ago, but it's actually been 9 years since my wife and I welcomed her into our home, where as a newborn, like so many other families, we had to develop a budget that accounted for these absolute essentials we talked about today. And we know that in those 9 years since, those prices have only gone up and up and up. And now with this Trump administration and their dangerous tariff policies, these essentials are presenting even steeper financial burdens for many American families. Some may even be priced out of parenting altogether. I was on the House floor last night marking the 200th day of inaction to address the number one issue that we were sent here for and what President Trump promised to do on day one, lower costs. It's now been 200 days with no congressional action whatsoever, not a single vote to lower costs. I scoured our voting record since we've been here, and I've really been trying in vain to find one vote, just one, to address the higher costs of groceries, baby essentials, rent, and I wish I could say I was successful. Instead, President Trump and congressional Republicans are making the cost of living more expensive. And so I want to applaud my colleagues for putting forward efforts to really meaningfully lower costs. I'm proud to join this coalition in supporting these common sense pieces of legislation that will exempt these essential products from the Trump tariffs. Actually, let's call them what they are, the Trump taxes. These bills are pro-life. These bills are pro-family. These bills are pro-American. I urge leadership to bring them to the floor for a vote quickly so that we can provide meaningful relief to American families. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gomez. And my kid also is 19 years old. He just finished his freshman year in college. When we were one and done, and one of the reasons why we were one and done is because of the cost of having kids. It's expensive, but I'll get back to that in a second. I'll never forget one of the first things that we learned when my son was born, as they say, it's very essential that your kid have what they call tummy time, and that you want to have tummy time. And so when I would come home from the state legislature, I'd roll the blanket out on the floor, and my son and I would have tummy time together, and he would spit up a lot. And so we went to the pediatrician. They said, your son has acid reflux, and you need to put him on a special formula. I'll never forget, they told us to buy, I think it was a Similac product that had a gold label like this, and it was much more expensive than the other products on there. And a friend of ours, a family member, said, you need to go online and sign up on their website for coupons, because they'll send you out these coupons periodically. And it was so expensive, I can just remember praying that the coupon that we would get was one of the $10 ones, because sometimes they'd send you a $10 or $7 or $8 coupon, but most of the times they would send you a $1 or $2 coupon. And I can just remember praying when that envelope would come in the mail that it was one of the $8, $9, or $10 coupons, because it was so expensive. And let me tell you something, and that gets to my point. These Trump tariff taxes are hard on working families. These Trump tariff taxes raise the cost of diapers. These Trump tariff taxes raise the price on baby formula. These Trump tariff taxes raise the price on breast pumps. These Trump tariff taxes raise the price on baby food. These Trump tariff taxes are paid for by working people, middle-class families. They are not paid for by billionaires. And now, because of Trump's tariff taxes, we're starting to see families that are stuck paying the price for a trade war they absolutely never asked for. Diapers that used to cost $25 are now pushing $40. And it's becoming more and more expensive to be able to take care of your infant. And it shouldn't be a luxury to do that. Everyone, regardless of if they're a billionaire or not, needs to be able to take care of their baby. Families are panicking because of these Trump tariff taxes. And unless he stops this nonsense, it's going to continue. And offering someone a one-time $5,000 credit is not going to induce people to have more kids. He has got to stop it with these Trump tariff taxes, because it's hard on families and it is hurting the American public, and it's eroding our family system here in the United States. Thank you.
Morning. I want to thank Congressman Gomez for that tremendous introduction. I'm Congressman Tim Kennedy. I represent Buffalo, Niagara Falls, New York's 26th. I'm a proud father of three, a 19-year-old son, a soon-to-be 17-year-old daughter, and a son who turns 14 today. Happy birthday to my son, Patrick. I do want to thank my colleague, Congressman Gomez, for not only bringing us together here today on this important topic, but for starting the Dad's Caucus, and I'm proud to be a part of that. We're here not just as policymakers, but as parents, to demand that this president and congressional Republicans put babies over billionaires. Let's be clear, these tariffs are hurting our kids and our communities across America. They're a tax on working families. They're not being paid by foreign governments or corporations like Trump and the congressional Republicans want you to think. They're being paid by American families at the checkout line. My colleagues were just articulating the expense of these baby products. It's only getting more expensive under Trump's tariff taxes, and it has to end. Since April, when these tariffs were announced, on nearly every country across the globe, mind you, the price of 5 common baby essentials has spiked by 24%. That's nearly $100 more just to buy a car seat, a crib, a stroller, a high chair, or a baby monitor. And these same items aren't luxuries. They are necessities for any new parent. And when you add it up, Parents across this country are going to pay $875 million more in costs on these essential items for their babies this year alone. These aren't just going to hurt struggling parents, it's going to continue to put a strain on our economy. But that's exactly what this president has created. A hidden tax that makes raising a child more expensive in the middle of a cost of living crisis across the country. Families are already being stretched thin with rising costs for childcare, housing, and healthcare. And now, thanks to these chaotic trade policies, they're being forced to spend more on baby gear. So again, I want to thank the Dad's Caucus. I also want, look, we're a big tent in the Democratic Party. Congressman Gomez said he was going to make a deal. That's his deal, because I think we need to rescind the tariffs, we need to cancel the cuts, and we need to release the files all at once.
All right, questions? Go ahead.
Congressman Superman, can you talk about your district and the impact of the cuts, of the job cuts, the Trump job cuts, and this issue as well? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Your typical working family in my district is either working for a government contractor or working for the federal government directly. And so they're already getting laid off or riffed or potentially even having a tough situation or losing their retirement. And then you add on top of it the high costs of tariffs. And so what's happening is these tariffs are a tax on the American people. Their taxes have gone up, and now they're losing jobs in our community. It ends up being a really tough situation. And one good thing is Virginians have the opportunity to go to the ballot box this November to make their voice heard. And so I think they will make their voice heard.
Great. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. I appreciate you for doing this. You mentioned that a lot of these issues are bipartisan, but you all don't control the House floor. House Republicans can't get rules out of committee to bring bills to the floor. What's the prospect of any of these pieces of legislation, getting to the floor this year to provide families this relief, or is this an agenda that will have to wait until Democrats are back in the majority?
Unfortunately, as long as the Republicans refuse to open the House because they're afraid of actually voting on the Epstein files or releasing the Epstein files, we're not going to be able to bring these bills up. So they should honestly just bite the bullet and have an up or down on that so we can get on with other important legislative business. But the Dad's Caucus, yeah, of course, the Dad's Caucus is going to push for this year. But if not, we're going to make sure that we're fighting for a more fair trade agenda that actually benefits working people, even if it means only when we get back into the majority. Go ahead.
I was curious if you've had conversations with your Republican colleagues about potentially signing on to this bill and what those conversations have.
Yeah, we'll definitely invite them. First, we just announced them, and we're going to include the Dad's Caucus members and other folks. But I'm happy to work on bipartisan basis with them. So we'll announce it. We'll ask them to join if they want to join. But anything that kind of seems to go contrary to Donald Trump and his agenda, they tend to back away. They don't have the courage to stand up to him. But we'll see. Any other? Go ahead.
I don't know if this is too far off topic, but you're going to come back in September and you've got a government funding fight that you're going to be in the middle of. Republicans are looking at another round of cuts, if only to get their conservative wing on board. In the last fight in March, you guys held the line. You opposed that Republican bill only to have Senate Democrats and Charles Schumer support it, which angered a lot of you guys. Heading into that fight, are you confident that Senate Democrats will hold the line this time, or are you concerned that they're gonna do the same thing again, even if you guys, Hakeem Jeffries said this week, if it's a partisan bill, we're gonna oppose it unilaterally over it.
Yeah.
He didn't mention the Senate.
Yeah.
How much faith do you have in Charles Schumer to hold the line?
That's a good question. This is politics, so you can only trust people as far as you can throw them, and especially senators. So I'm not. I'm only speaking for myself, not the Dad's Caucus, but I think that Schumer needs to really consider what it does to his own membership. He has to consider what's going on. Right now, we have a president that's operating outside the bounds of the law and the Constitution. So a president that doesn't give a damn about checks and balances, doesn't give a damn what you actually pass, he's going to do whatever he wants. So why are you going to help the Republicans pass something that's going to be devastating, and then he's going to take it a step further? So call me crazy, but I don't like cutting deals with somebody that continuously punches me in the face and then says that they're doing me a favor. And that's what Donald Trump does to the Senate Democrats every time they capitulate on that kind of piece of legislation.